Department, our partners at the California Highway Patrol, the FBI, the ATF, ICE, Parole, the LA County Fire Department, and all of our partners, our medical side from Palmdale Regional Medical Center, Antelope Valley Hospital, and AMR Ambulance. And so we will go through this as kind of a timeline to be able to put it in perspective on how this rolled out. So first 911 call came in this morning at 7:03. Palmdale Station received nearly 100 calls related to the incident. At approximately 7:05, deputies from Palmdale Station were dispatched to a call for service of a person with a gun at Highland High School, located at 39055 25th Street West in the city of Palmdale. There were reports that there were possible hostages in the school library. Deputies started making entry into the library at approximately 7:21 a.m. The campus was put on lockdown, and the students were told to shelter in place. At approximately 7:24, several 911 calls were received indicating multiple gunshots being heard at Manzanita Elementary School, which is about 7 miles away from Highland High School. Deputies quickly responded and searched that school for any threats. One male juvenile student at Highland High School was struck in the arm, shoulder area by gunfire and transported to a local hospital by an individual who happened to be in the area with a car, a citizen, who saw what the need was and put the juvenile in the vehicle and transported him to the hospital. The juvenile is currently in stable condition. Palmdale deputies, our Special Enforcement Bureau, the California Highway Patrol, and other stations quickly responded to the schools and began methodically clearing both campuses for any threats. At 7:40 a.m., the father of shooting subject called a family friend who happened to be an off-duty LAPD officer. This officer detained the subject at Vaughn's, which is at 3027 Rancho Vista Boulevard in the city of Palmdale. He stated that he received a call from the subject's mother in the morning. She told him they were having trouble with the subject, who had run away from the house. The LAPD officer then got a call from the subject's dad, who said that the subject had just called him. The subject told the dad that he had shot his gun in the air and was headed toward Vaughn's. The LAPD officer headed toward the market and found the subject. The officer called Palmdale Station and had units respond to his location. At 7:43 a.m., deputies arrived at the Vaughn's and detained the subject for one count of attempted murder. At 8:31, the subject's weapon was recovered from an open field west of the school. It was an SKS with 7.62 rounds. The Highland High School campus was cleared, and the incident concluded about 10 a.m. A search warrant was served by our Special Enforcement Bureau at the subject's residence at about 11 a.m., and the investigation is continuing. So I want to just go over some of the ways that the community came together to be able to resolve this incident this morning. The students who were on campus were texting others that were not on the campus, including off-duty law enforcement, to notify others of the emergency, to request assistance, and to warn them so that they wouldn't walk into a dangerous situation. Faculty members directed deputies throughout the campus to allow access to all the different locations on the school campus, which allowed us to quickly secure the safety of the students. Students remained calm and provided description of the suspect, as well as his last seen direction to responding deputies. School faculty provided video of the subject arriving at the school, a video of the incident, and him leaving the school, which has assisted in the quick apprehension of the subject as well. Local residents provide closed-circuit video that they had of the subject arriving on campus, which assisted in the investigation as well. Civilians that were not present advised us of the subject's location, which assisted us, again, in locating him. The subject was detained near the school by an off-duty law enforcement from LAPD officer, as I mentioned. School resource deputies, I know that'll be a question. Lancaster Station has the contract to provide school resource deputies to the high school throughout the Antelope Valley, including high schools in the city of Palmdale. The school deputies work from 8 in the morning until 4 in the afternoon. The deputy assigned to Highland High School was making his way to work at the time of this incident. The most recent active shooter training. We look at what happened today, and really textbook on the part of everybody who was involved in this. We do train for this. The most recent active shooter training took place at the Lockheed Martin plant in Palmdale in December, most recent December. It involved multiple agencies, including personnel from Palmdale Station, Lockheed Martin security staff, Los Angeles County Fire Department, American Medical Response, ambulance service, as well as players. About 77 people were engaged in that training. Palmdale personnel also participated in enhanced active duty training over the last few years. About 109 have been trained in total there. So when you look at this incident and the way that it rolled out, we were very fortunate that the incident wasn't much worse than it was, but really much of it was due to the way that everybody came together, worked together. You know, our deputies, our fire partners, the FBI, the ATF, all of the players who came together very quickly right after this occurred to be able to put together what we have today. So we're thankful for the situation that we find ourselves in, and we wish a full recovery to the individual who was injured. I'd now like to introduce from the Los Angeles County Fire Department Deputy Chief Vince Pena. Vince.
Thank you. Good afternoon. On behalf of the Los Angeles County Fire Department, I too would like to thank the smooth cooperation, coordination, and effectiveness of all the unified partners on this incident, how we all performed and working together. As first responders from the fire department, our mission on an incident of this nature is to co-locate with our law enforcement partners to tactically locate and extract, if needed, and provide life-saving intervention to any and all victims. The smoothness and of this incident, how it developed, allowed us to do so, even though we mainly staged and took the information coming in on this incident to be prepared for how it was developing. Also, I'd like to mention, as the sheriff has, the continued ongoing training and coordination that we do with each other as first responders allowed us to perform and on this incident as well as it went along. Anyway, thank you very much.
Our next speaker will be Los Angeles County Supervisor Catherine Barger of the 5th District.
Thank you, and I too also would like to commend our first responders. We have these exercises and we hope we don't have to use them, but today was an example of why we do it. And I appreciate the school district getting out the word to the parents. We got calls in our office and gave as much information as we could, and social media helped as well. But I just want to highlight something, and this is why the Board of Supervisors is supporting what they call START teams, School Threat Assessment Response Teams. Law enforcement alone cannot do this, nor can school resource officers. We have to look at early intervention, identifying problems where they may be in schools, whether it be through the parents recognizing something, the students recognizing something, or teachers recognizing something. So as we move forward with the lessons learned and getting more information about what happened today, the START teams are something that we're going to be expanding and rolling out across the county so that we can get early intervention and identify people within the school system that may need our help and provide mental health services and support. So with that, again, I want to thank our first responders for everything you did. You really did make a difference today and probably saved lives. So thank you very much.
Jim Ledford, City of Palmdale Mayor.
Palmdale prides itself on our being a place to call home. We're a safe city, great schools and amenities. We have 160,000 people in our community, but we're really a small town. And that's really translated this morning because we're a tight community that comes together in the good times and certainly when the challenging times like today. Not only did each parent feel the shock and horror of what happened today, our entire community felt it almost immediately. Today we saw amazing response from our sheriff, fire department, schools, city, American Medical Response, and others, and you've heard about that already this morning, all working together to handle this crisis in a very effective manner. It was a proud demonstration of that cooperation and working together. So the quick and thoughtful action of all agencies to get the situation under control and restore order is truly commendable. And I can't thank you all enough for what you've done together, we together as a community. Thank you.
We now have the Assistant Superintendent, Brett Neal, of the Antelope Valley Union High School District.
Good afternoon. On behalf of Superintendent Dr. David Vieira and our school board president, Mr. Michael Dutton, I'd like to say that we are incredibly proud, grateful for the actions of our Highland High School administrators, teachers, and staff, and our first responders who courageously protected the lives of our students today. We know that every second is important in a situation like this, and we couldn't be more thankful. We met with our injured student and the family and have offered any and all support that they need. Our thoughts and prayers are with them at this time. We are prepared for our students to return to campus Monday, and we'll have additional school counselors, psychologists, and staff available at all of our campuses to provide support. The safety of our schools is our #1 priority. For more than 25 years, we have partnered with Los Angeles Sheriff's Department to provide deputies on each of our campuses who work with our security teams to provide a safe environment for our students, our staff, and our community. We will continue to do everything we can to provide a safe environment for our students and staff. And we sincerely appreciate the outpouring of support from our local, our county, state, and even national agencies, and are proud of the coordinated efforts of all involved. And we thank all of you for your support.
Dr. Pavel Petrick, Antelope Valley Hospital.
Good afternoon. I'm representing Antelope Valley Hospital Medical Center. We are a level 2 trauma center in the northeastmost corner of Los Angeles County. We're the only trauma center in a 50-mile radius to serve our residents up in the Antelope Valley. We received a mass casualty event notice this morning. Luckily, it was just before the onset of our scheduled cases at the hospital, which normally start at 7:30. We were able to shut down the entire operating room and keep all 9 rooms available in case we needed to immediately take patients to the operating room if there were life-threatening injuries. In addition to that, all of the trauma surgeons, as well as all the general surgeons that work in the Antelope Valley, were mobilized in the event that they would be needed for all these casualties. We were initially told there were several dead and about 20 to 25 injured students at the scene or at the other outside hospital. The emergency room was essentially shut down except for for awaiting all these patients that were supposed to be incoming. Everybody from the blood bank to the lab to radiology to everybody, nursing. It was just a phenomenal, phenomenal group of people, maybe 100 people downstairs in the hospital waiting for the arrival of these injured children. Thankfully, we only had one child that was shot, and he is in the operating room as we speak, and he will probably do very, very well when he comes out. So thankfully, it wasn't nearly as bad as we expected. I want to thank all the first responders. I want to thank everybody that was involved in this. It could have been, as I say, much, much worse. Thankfully, it was not. I want to thank everybody in the community for the support of their trauma center, because this is what your tax dollars are paying for.
And our final speaker, and then we'll facilitate questions, will be California Highway Patrol Captain Eric Bernier from the Antelope Valley office.
Hello. The California Highway Patrol LA Communications Center received one of the many initial 911 calls for help and dispatched 2 of our units who happened to be nearby in the area. Those 2 officers arrived right about the same time that some of the deputies were first arriving on scene, and were able to assist them and make entry into the school to check for any additional threats and to hopefully locate and neutralize the shooter. The California Highway Patrol trains all of our personnel in active shooter on a regular basis for this very reason. We never know when and where we're going to be when something like this goes down, and we're also trained to work closely, and we train with our allied agencies, and that definitely paid off for us today. We responded with several units from the Mojave and Newhall area CHP who assisted us, as well as 3 of our K9 units with bomb sniffing capabilities to assist with the aftermath. And then also 2 airships responded from the Highway Patrol, and we did everything we could in our power to be able to assist the Sheriff's Department and the other agencies with this operation. Thank you.
Yeah, we'll take any questions we can. Please understand that the investigation is still ongoing. It is still very fresh, but we'll answer what we can. A couple of quick takeaways from this is when you think about what we went through today and the fact that it worked out as well as it did, a lot of training goes into this. That's very important, not only for first responders, but also for students, for families, to talk about these kind of incidents with each other. We have a video that we produced about a little over a year ago, LASD active shooter, if you Google it, and it's pretty realistic, and I think it gives people a good idea of what has to be thought about when this happens. Run, hide, and fight are the real concepts behind it, but it's worth watching it with your family. And then when you heard the accounts being laid out behind me, the idea that we all come together, we all work together. When something happens, we make it work. The account I heard when our people got to the hospital at Antelope Valley, that there was a mass of medical staff personnel waiting for this mass casualty event. This is how it's supposed to work when we have a crisis like this, and then today we're thankful that everything did work, but the outcome was much better than anybody could have anticipated. So again, thank you to all involved for that. I'll open it up to whatever you have, sir.
Hey, sir, can you go over the timeline of what the parents' role of the suspect played in this?
What the parents' role was?
Yeah, you said the phone calls were made.
Oh, I'm sorry. Yep. Let me find that. All right. The original call came in at 7:03 to Palmdale Station. It was dispatched within 2 minutes. Deputies were on scene within a minute after that. When they believed that there were possible hostages there, they then made entry. We had 4 contact teams on scene put together very quickly, LASD and CHP working together on that. And so the school administrators then put the school on a lockdown. I had mentioned that one individual was struck. The father, at 7:40, the father of the shooting subject called a family friend who was that off-duty LAPD officer. He then located the individual and then detained him at the Vaughn supermarket, not far from the scene. The LAPD officer had gotten a call from the subject's mother in the morning, and she told him they were having trouble with the subject who had run away from the house. The officer also got a call from the subject's dad, who said that the subject has just called him and told the dad he had shot his gun in the air and was headed toward Vaughn's. So based on the information that he had, he tried to intervene to be able to detain the individual, take him into custody safely, and fortunately that's exactly what happened.
Sheriff, can you share with us more about the actions of the shooter? Specifically, what led him to leave the campus? And do we think he was actually aiming to harm people, or was he just trying to act out to make some statement?
You know, that's something that I wish I could tell you what his motivation was or what he was looking to do, but he hasn't been interviewed yet. That will be forthcoming. They're still processing the scene out there. You know, based on the video evidence out there, there were a number of shots fired. Those shots, in some cases, were, you know, they went into an area adjacent to the courtyard where they were being fired from. So the potential was for anybody to be able to take a stray round there, whether they were aimed at or not. So a very dangerous situation, but as far as trying to, you know, estimate what he was aiming for, too early to do that.
And then do we know why he left when he did?
Not sure why he left the scene when he did, but he did. He fired the rounds and then he deliberately left the campus and went into the adjoining neighborhood.
And before deputies arrived, we think he left.
Just before, we believe, yeah.
Is there a relationship between the shooter and the boy who was hit?
Yeah, that'll be determined. We don't know that yet. We don't have anything to indicate that there was.
And then the calls at the Manzanita Elementary School?
Yeah, we're still looking into that, and that'll be a deep dive to be able to find out was that potentially a distraction, or was it just coincidental that a shots fired call would be, you know, called in at the same basic time 7 miles away. That's something we're going to look very closely at.
And the suspect was a former student?
Yes.
Was he expelled or?
No.
Transferred?
He transferred. His family transferred him to another school.
How long ago?
Recently. Yeah, with a month or so. Yeah.
Hey, Sheriff, could I just to make sure to clarify, your people were there within 3 minutes, and he was already gone at that point?
Right. as you know, when this stuff happens, it happens quick. Yeah.
Whose gun was it?
Okay, I don't know if we're in a place to talk about that yet. We working with our partners from ATF. They will do the investigation on that to be able to look at where the gun came from and where it's been throughout. So I think it'd be premature to comment on that at this time.
Were any other firearms found at the home?
Yeah, that's part of the investigation too, and too early to go into that.
Can you tell us anything at all more about when he was arrested? What happened? Did he just surrender? Did he sit down? What happened?
Yeah, he surrendered to the off-duty LAPD officer.
So, because he knows him.
Right,
Okay.
right.
So, the kid knows the officer.
That's based on what we know here, where both parents reached out to the off-duty officer, then they had a relationship prior, and we can assume, I think, that that the individual probably knew the officer as well. He did not have a gun with him at that time.
Sheriff, why did the hospital believe there could have been several students dead? Is that just because he was an initial 911 call?
Yeah, I'm not sure where that notification came from. I think they prepared when they heard that they had an active shooter at a school, that the assumption was at 7:30 in the morning, and the potential was there for a mass casualty event. Someone called in and gave them the notification, and the preparations were made for an incident like that. Thankfully, that didn't occur. But what the genesis of that was, as far as naming how many people were down, how many people were deceased, and those kind of things. In these events, they're so chaotic that you have people calling in all sorts of things. I mentioned that there were a tremendous number of 911 calls within the first couple of minutes, and as you can imagine, that's overwhelming. And people will relate, things that they believe are happening at the time that may or may not be reality.
Do we know how the suspect got the gun in school? I mean, it was just in his backpack, or?
Yeah, it was in a bag that he was carrying with him. Yeah.
Are you gonna release that video?
It's a school video. It's part of the investigation. At this point, I'm not sure where we are on that.
Did you hear the reports that the student or that the shooter was boasting about shooting students prior to the shooting in the bathroom?
He was in a bathroom. I have not heard what was said in that bathroom.
How did these two kids know each other?
Don't know that they did. We're still looking at that.
Is there an amount of rounds that were fired? About how many rounds were fired?
There were multiple rounds, possibly in the neighborhood of 10 rounds fired, to our knowledge at this time.
And were most of those, it seems, fired into the air? Were they fired at level? Because he said he fired into the air.
Yeah, he said he fired into the air. There are multiple strikes in the vicinity of the shooting area. What he was aiming at is yet to be determined.
So initial shots were in a bathroom?
From the bathroom and possibly in the bathroom as well.
Were there people in the bathroom with him?
There were. I don't know how many at this time.
Sheriff, some of the students from that school are in the room right now. What message do you want them to hear? What do you want them to know going back to school and that they obviously their children?
Yeah, the message is, we're all in this together. If somebody becomes aware of somebody who is dealing with issues where they may be acting out violently towards someone else, don't keep that information to yourself. Share it with us. We want to be able to help them. We want to be able to do whatever is necessary to prevent anybody from getting hurt. There is a lot of help available to people out there, and they may not see it at the time, particularly if they're in crisis. But we're there for them. The school administrators are there for them, and we want to be able to be an assist to anybody who's undergoing these type of difficulties. And then secondarily, again, as I mentioned earlier, have a plan. If something like this happens, whether it's a school, a movie theater, any kind of a venue, you want to be able to have situational awareness when you walk in, know where the exits are, know how you're going to get out of there if something happens, and just be as prepared as you can. Knowing that, the world we live in today, these things happen, and it seems with greater frequency. So everybody should have a plan. Every family should talk about these kind of things, because you go to muscle memory. When something happens, you do what you train to do, and if you have to think at the time, it's time you can't afford oftentimes.
When you were listing the agencies at the top, did I hear you say ICE?
I did.
What was their role?
I don't have that information handy. Anybody know?
Yeah, I can tell you. Their role essentially was they responded to the command post and offered their assistance with whatever it is that we might have needed. We let them know fairly quickly that there was really no application for their services, but they were there to help.
Yeah, thank you. As you know, ICE has a number of different component entities within it. HSI, Homeland Security Investigations, is one of those. They are very active criminal investigations across the spectrum of different crimes. So they're very active in the region and very helpful.
This boy left the high school. Have you had has the Sheriff's Department had any interaction with him prior to today?
Yeah, too soon to be able to tell that. I don't know. We will know. I think it was more grades than anything else like that, yeah. All right. Oh, thank you all very much.
Sorry, one last question.
Okay. For the doctor, yeah.
Yeah. Just going into your mind frame, when you get a call that early in the morning of potentially 20-plus victims, and you're waiting, those minutes they're building up. What's going through your head? What's going through the staff's head?
Well, I think you want to make sure that you have enough materials and personnel to be able to save as many people as you can. I mean, it's basically a triage thing. There was a question earlier about where the numbers came from. The county actually posts a massive incident, basically posting, and they tell you kind of what they think is coming your way. And the first word that we got was 20 to 25 people, and several dead. So you want to start thinking about how you're going to triage these patients when they come in. Make sure you have enough physicians there to be able to take care of these patients. Make sure there's enough operating rooms, because most of these patients would need to go straight to the operating room. Make sure there's enough blood in the blood bank to be able to transfuse these patients and keep them alive in time to get to the operating room. So those are some of the things that we were dealing with.
You said that young man is in surgery now. Can you tell us what kind of surgery?
I don't think I can give that information out. It's not life-threatening.
Thank you all very much.
Thank you.
Thank you. One thing I'd like to add, the Hilton Garden Inn was nice enough to let us in and offer their facilities, so please clean up after yourselves, and we thank them for contributing to the community here and trying to get this message out effectively. Thank you.
Starting